Pascagoula-Gautier School Board Trustees to order. And as far as why I'm here at the president's seat, as Mr. Kincannon said he would be late, and he'll take over, and according to the rules of order, I will just move right on up until he gets here. Mr. President, please take note that 4 members are present, Mr. Kincannon being absent for the time being. He's supposed to arrive later. We have an agenda before us. Mr. Dobbs, are there any changes to the agenda?
There are not.
I need a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Any discussion? Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Mr. Adolphus, item B.
At this time, Debbie Ruminack will present the board with certificates, and I'll be reading a proclamation out for the School Board Appreciation Week. Whereas the mission of public schools is to meet the diverse educational needs of all children and to empower them to become competent, productive contributors to society in an ever-changing world. And whereas local school board members fulfill leadership roles and serve as the venue through which community stakeholders provide resources and support for creative initiatives that lead to improved student achievement. And whereas school board members create a climate that supports philosophy that all children can learn at high levels. Whereas school board members serve as a voice and enable our community to preserve local management control of our public schools. Whereas the committed men and women who serve on the boards of Mississippi school districts are strong advocates of public education and are responsible for communicating the needs of the school district to the public and the public's expectations to the district by working closely with parents, educational professionals, and other community members to create the educational vision we all hold for today's students and those in the future. And whereas during February 10th through 16th, 2019, special activities and programs will be held in communities across Mississippi in observance of School Board Recognition Week, and it is fitting to join in acknowledging the commitment and contributions of members of local school boards. Now, therefore, I, Phil Bryant, Governor of the State of Mississippi, do hereby proclaim the week of February 10th through 16th as School Board Member Recognition Week. Please help me to thank our school board for this.
Item C.
Our first school improvement presentation.
Well, no, we have the election.
I'm sorry, apologize. Election of school board officers.
Yeah, we're going to read that now. Item C.
Current board policy, BBAA, election of school board officers, calls for the board to elect its officers at the last regular meeting before the board member appointment election in March. A copy is attached for policy for your review. As recommended, the board of trustees elect its officers per board policy BBAA.
According to school board policy, what happens is the member who has seniority in their last term will serve as president in his or her last year. And then the one that's just below him or her in seniority will move up to secretary. And in that case, that would be me as serving for president starting next month, and Ms. Tracy Wilson being the secretary. And I need a motion to approve this, how we're going with school board policy.
So I think we would probably need to, I don't know if we could lump it into one or if we need to do 2 separate motions. I guess for Parley Pro, it'd be just as quick and easy to do it. I make a motion to nominate Sonny Bax as the incoming president of the Pascagoula-Gautier School Board of Trustees, effective at the next regularly scheduled meeting.
I need a second.
Second.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, I'd also like to make a motion and nominate Ms. Tracy Jackson Wilson to the position of secretary, also effective for our next regularly scheduled meeting.
Second.
We've got a motion and a second. Any discussion on the item? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Motion carries 4-0. Aye for me. Okay, we're just having one motion on that, as far as the vote is concerned. Okay, I didn't have one come
It's
up.
coming.
Yeah.
It should be right
I
there.
have to type it.
I was typing it.
Yep.
Oh.
Might have to.
Don't have anything yet.
Have to refresh maybe.
And then go back in.
You want me to just vote for you?
Just go ahead and vote for it. So go ahead and correct. It was about 4-0.
We're good.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
What I did neglect to do, okay, never mind, excuse me. Okay, Mr. Adolphich.
All right, Mr. Stuart Smurthwaite is here for a school improvement presentation.
Good evening, distinguished board members. So glad to be here before you this evening to share some of the good news of how we're meeting our goals for this upcoming school year. You should have in your board packet a handout. Looks like this. And if you don't, I've got some extras. If Your Honor will give me permission to approach the bench, I can. But just to give you a brief overview. So you'll see in the top left corner is our overall school goal, where we're hoping to be after our students take their state test in April and May. And then you can see in the first benchmark assessment to the right, there, the top right, that's where they were in August when they took our first benchmark. And we just finished up our January benchmarking here, and that's in the bottom left. You'll see second benchmark assessment results. So you want to look at the growth from first to second. And you'll see the first benchmark doesn't have growth because that was a baseline test. So we've made some great gains in proficiency in reading and math, made some great gains in growth, and in the growth of our bottom 25%, which is our SPED group. So and this is only the halfway point of the year. So we're expecting to see even more growth as we move throughout the year, and I'm excited to be able to share that with you in probably in April's board meeting. And if you go to the next page, please, Ms. Rubenat. Or,
Chris is doing it.
oh, Mr. Swift. Some things to brag on here. We've got our highest enrollment that we've had in years at Trent Lodge, so that's good. We've got a strong group of teachers and students. Our student ADA every month is above 95%, so the kids are coming to school. Our chronic absences, where the students have 2 or more absences per month, our goal is to keep that less than 20%, so most months we're doing that. We're aggressively working to get our kids to school even more, even though we've got a great ADA percentage per month. We're doing some things where we make personal phone calls home. I've been out to the house today to look for some kids to get them to school, and our district leadership is great about supporting us in that as well. So we're doing attendance incentives. We're doing a lot of things to get these kids to school. Our discipline referrals, that's definitely down from last year. So the kids are coming to school, they're getting into trouble less, and we've got our biggest group we've had in years. So things are looking up. To get out from under this ATSI, we need to get to the next letter grade. So we're 16 points away from a B. And last year we gained 19 points, so I feel confident that we're on the right track. Our data is looking where we're on the right track. And so I think overall, I think we're in good shape. We can't make it without the support of the school board and our district leaders, and Dr. Ketching supporting us in the school improvement efforts, and Ms. Damon and Mr. Adolphich and everybody at the district level has done a great job in making sure that I have what I need to make sure the teachers and students have what they need. So I think we're on the right track, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to expound upon any of these points or share some more data with you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Our next presentation is from Pam Roan.
Well, hi, I'm not Pam Roan, I'm Christy Sharp, and Ms. Roan would like to extend her apologies. She did come down with the flu unexpectedly this morning, so she asked that I be here to present on her behalf, which I'm happy to talk about our school. So when test scores came out, we are a B-rated school at this point, and we're looking to move from a lower B to a higher B. That's our overall goal. Mr. Smithwaite kind of explained how the data looks. So if you look at our overall school goal, we have those laid out in each area of proficiency. You can see our first benchmark assessment where we gathered that baseline data at the beginning of the school year in August. And then our most current benchmarking data, we've gone up in every single area, and we're continuing to work to improve those scores. For us, we're focused specifically on special education math as the subgroup. We put in place some special tutoring programs. We do pull-out tutoring during second PE. For some of our lower performing students, we have our special ed team. They're wonderful. They've been doing regular PLCs, meeting bi-weekly to discuss specific student data and how to drive that forward. If we can go to the next slide. We are also working with our attendance and working to improve that. Ms. Roan and I are committed to doing home visits, and we've gotten a lot of support from Ms. Damon and Mr. Rodolfich toward that initiative, making sure that our kids are at school so they can learn the material. Also improving our teacher attendance rate. So before we had this bout of the flu, we were hanging in there. We're working on doing incentives for our teachers to help them to have the will to come to school every day and power through these long sessions without a break. We have implemented positive office referrals to help our students want to achieve. And the other important piece is we are working with our Center for Teaching and Learning. Ms. Dunn is our curriculum specialist, and our other curriculum council members are working closely with the CTL members to make sure that the assessments and the curriculum are aligned for the students and that we know what interventions are going to work for our kids. So I, too, appreciate everything the board is doing to support our efforts. We are just excited to be a part of the district, and we look forward to driving our kids forward with your continued help and support, and appreciate all that you do. And I'm happy to attempt to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you.
All right, next is Dr. Nix. Good evening.
Good evening.
Again, just to kind of reiterate the way that this is set up, Calmer Middle School was a C in last year's accountability model. Our goal for this year is to be a B. Some of the things that we're doing, of course, are looking at the areas of growth. If you look at the first benchmark, in the area of overall growth, we were 37% in reading, 41% in math. We did a temperature check in October just to kind of see where we were. And with that, I don't actually see that temperature check up there. Yes, I do. I'm sorry. 37% in reading and then 41% in math. Has a slight dip in math, but again, if you look at our overall goals for the second benchmark, our growth is 62% in reading with a goal of 57% in math. So we're on mark to reach our goal of being a B. Some of the things that we're doing is, again, we're meeting bi-weekly in our PLCs. Our special education group in language arts is the group, it's our subgroup that calls us to be in school improvement. So one of the things that we're doing is I'm meeting weekly with our LSC to look at all of our students in the special education group in the areas of if they're attending tutoring, how their discipline is looking, if their attendance is in order to make sure that that particular group is getting the gains that they need, as well as the overall group. If you go to the next page, you can again see that we have our highest enrollment in some time with 622 students. We are making home visits. We have record numbers of students staying after school and tutoring. Last Thursday, I think it was 90 kids and after school tutoring staying until 4:30. We've also implemented Panther Period, where we're also focusing on students who have scored extremely well and giving them the extra push that they may need to make those proficient growths that we need to make. So again, everything's on track, and I look forward to giving you positive updates as time goes on.
Thank you. Any questions? Thanks again.
Next, we have Dr. Katara Payton.
Good evening.
Good evening.
She's a PA. He said I don't have one for Jackson.
That'd be good, right?
I'm the principal of Pascagoula High School. Okay.
There you go.
You will see, our goal this year is to become an A school. Again, right now, we're a B school, and it seems to be a rigorous goal because it's about 99 points. But we believe, my team and I believe that if we were an A before, we could be an A again. So we set the rigorous goal for us becoming an A school again next year. Currently, our high schools do not have a comprehensive benchmark assessment. So what you will see in the first benchmark assessment results, that's our data from our state test scores. That will be our data from our state test scores, and then you'll see our goals. Currently, we are in the process of purchasing Case 21 for so that we will have a comprehensive benchmark assessment, and you'll see more about that next month after we assess our students. And our targeted population is also SPED math, special education math. Again, we are purchasing Case 21 comprehensive benchmark assessment. We're also purchasing a program to be used for ELA, interventions in ELA and math with our special education program students, and also our students in our bottom 25%. And we are, in addition, we're purchasing Chromebooks to implement those programs. Next slide, please. Our data, our student enrollment it stays steady. ADA, our average daily attendance, you'll see that it's in the 90s, but that can be a little bit misleading, and I believe in being honest. If you would look at chronic absenteeism, that's pretty high. That's higher than we would like it to be. Last year it was about 26%. Currently we're at 27%, a little bit higher than last year. So that's something that we're working on, and not only is Pascagoula High working on, every state meeting that I attend, chronic absenteeism in high school is a huge deal. So we are doing home visits, we're making the phone calls, we are meeting with students, meeting with parents, we're digging in to address the chronic absenteeism, because once our students are coming to school, performance is going to take care of itself. We just need them at school. Our teacher attendance rate is in the 90s, and our number of discipline referrals, I highlighted that in green because we have accomplished our goal every month this year. It seems to be, last year was about 260, the average was about 260 a month, so you'll notice that it is a lot lower this year. So we're rocking and rolling when it comes to discipline. Again, chronic absenteeism seems to be the thorn in our flesh, and we are working toward improving. Some of the things that we're doing to decrease discipline referrals, we have quarterly incentives for students. We also make sure our duty teachers are strategically placed and our administrators are visible during class changes and lunchtime and breakfast time. Also, our students who received one suspension are referred to behavior TST. For chronic absenteeism, I've discussed that a little bit. We're doing home visits and phone calls and refer to the state attendance office. For our SPED subgroup math, we are progressing. We are having department meetings. We are making data-driven decisions based on individualized data-driven decisions based on what individual students need. Also, we are conducting classroom observations with immediate feedback to teachers on how they can improve in addressing these issues. Any questions?
Any questions? Okay, well, thank you.
So while we got you all sitting out there, I've waited until the end to speak and just echo a little of what we said last time you all were here, that we appreciate you. Thank you for laying it out so we can look at it a little bit better, but there was never a doubt about the work you guys were doing. And from the sounds of things, the plan's in place and you've got what you need, but if that's not the case, we don't know unless you let us know, right? So if there's any more ways that we can help you to help these students, please let us know so we can do that. But thank you for everything you're doing.
Anyone else? Okay, I would like to thank you as well. I know that you're trying as hard as you can. Every time I visit any school in the district, I always see students on task. I do not see students acting up. I do not see students wandering the halls. If I happen to peek at a classroom door, I always see students on task. And so that tells me that you're doing a great job right there. And so that's the main thing, is keeping students on task. And I know you, as Mr. Johnson said, you got a plan before you, and you've done very well on that. And I am very confident that each one of you will meet that goal that you set for yourselves. And, in other words, I just have no doubt in my mind, and I once again like to thank you. Any other comments or questions? Okay, Mr. Rodolphich, item 2A.
We have a parent to request the board, Mr. Patrick McGee, requested to address the school board concerning driver's education.
Sorry, I missed that one.
Yes, I'd like the board to address the disparity between the Pascagoula High School and Gautier High School. A student at Gautier High School can't get driver's ed until they're in the 12th grade. It's not so at the Pascagoula High School. They can have it as a sophomore. Somebody please explain why.
Mr. Rodolphich,
Mr. Sessoms.
I
mean, that's just a general.
So, yeah, sure, and technically when we have, just to clarify, I think a little bit of policy around what's going on with the address section here, not always guaranteed a response, but understanding your question, I can tell you from previous discussions with Mr. Sportman that it's not necessarily that a student cannot take driver's ed until their senior year at Gautier High. We have one teacher there that can teach it, and so for fairness sake, when it comes to filling that course, they start at the senior grade level and fill down, and it doesn't make it past that grade level because of that.
How many instructors does Pascagoula High School have?
And that I can't answer. I hadn't delved into that. Now, what I can say is, I don't know about who's applying to take what courses where. I definitely hear you because that can mean a lot of different things for insurance costs, and I mean we want the same way we want the best students graduating school, we want the best drivers on the road too, and completely understand where you're coming from there, and can't give you definitive dates or times, but can say that the administration is here at the central office level as well as the high school level with Mr. Spartman has been very receptive to looking into the possibility of, if nothing else, offering a summer course if we have driver's ed teacher willing to do that. In discussions that have recently taken place, I know that's something that wheels are moving very fast to see how we can implement it in the most timely manner. So I do hear the concern, as I think the rest of the board does too. Appreciate you coming to us with it, and ask maybe check back in a couple of weeks after we have some time to talk Mr. Adolfich, Ms. Grin, and Mr. Spartman a little bit more to see the possibilities of what that would look like to extend the offering, if nothing else, in the summertime for the time being, and then to look at maybe going from there moving forward. Again, no guarantees on times or dates for that yet, but we are working that way.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you, Lee. Thank you for your concerns. Mr. Loftus, do we have any visitors?
We do not.
Item 2A, consent agenda.
We're grouping several routine items into a single consent agenda. Any board member may request that any or all items on the consent agenda be removed and considered as a separate item. If no such request is made, all items on the consent agenda may be approved by a single action motion second vote of the Board of Trustees. Consent agenda for February 11, 2019. Request for approval of board meeting minutes. January 17, 2019, January 29, 2019. Request for approval of personnel resignations recommendations. Request for approval of docket of claims for January 2019. Request for approval of student assignments and transfers. Request for enrollment of out-of-district student whose parent is an employee. Request for approval of use of facilities. Request for approval of removal of equipment from inventory and disposal. Reject and rebid the E-rate bid for FY 2019. Request for approval of applications and certificates of payment. Request for approval of to accept substantial completion, Trip Lot Academy and Central Office Improvements Project. Request for approval of construction change directive number 6, Trip Lot Academy and Central Office 2018 Improvements Project. Request for approval of construction change directive number 1, Trip Lot Academy and Central Office 2018 Improves Project. Request for approval of 2018-19 school calendar revision and declare an emergency weather day for September 5th, 2018. Request to approval of donations and grants. Update Gulf Oaks Therapeutic Day School. Request for approval of gifted assessment staff. Request for approval of school calendar for 2019-2020. Request for approval of overnight field trips, CCTI HOSA. Request for approval of revision of policy EP, drones, unmanned aircraft system. Request for approval of new board policy JRA, student directory information. Request for approval of new board policy JRAB, compliance with FERPA. Request for approval of removal of policy LDDB, student records, guidelines, family educational rights and privacy act of 1974. Request for approval of assistant superintendents and principals for 2018-19 school year. Request for approval of licensed administrators, CTL staff, educational technology integration specialists, and non-licensed administrators for 2019-2020 school year. Request for approval to advertise for proposals to provide professional development for kindergarten through 12th grade teachers and sheltered English instruction for teaching English learners. Request for approval to advertise for proposals to provide professional development in a multi-sensory approach to teaching English language arts. Request for approval to advertise for proposals to train the trainer, professional development for teachers and other district personnel in sheltered English instruction. Request for approval of overnight field trip, PHS softball. Request for approval of use of facility. It is recommended that all items on the consent agenda for February 11, 2019 be approved.
Would any board member like to remove one of the items and act on separately? Any comments? Okay, I need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay, motion to approve the consent agenda with a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And all opposed, nay. Next item we have coming up,
Informational.
right, on the information reports. We'll go to the vandalism report first. Once again, I like those numbers, zeros. So we're holding good. How many months has that been that we've had those in a row? Quite a few, at least 2, I know.
Yeah, it's been several.
Okay. I can't see where there'd be any questions on that. Okay, next we'll go to the system report. Any comments or questions on that? Okay, hearing none. We'll go to the construction update. Sure, there might be some questions here. Can't let Mr. Ryan go without questions.
No.
Okay. Looking at the construction update, does any member have any comments or questions on the construction update? We have Mr. Parker and Ryan here, so they might feel they're left out if we don't ask them questions. So.
I know it. So, working to make up ground at the Performing Arts Center. What are we doing to try to catch back on those weather delays? How are we addressing that, I guess?
Working Saturdays.
yes.
Okay,
Working extra hours.
okay.
But I don't want, I don't feel confident today they're gonna catch all that back up and hit that November 1st deadline. I just don't see
We're
that
still
happening.
8 weeks behind.
So,
And
we'll do everything we can. I don't mean that to mean we're not gonna push them, because we are, but
sure.
it's kind
And
of,
I don't think anybody would ask you to either. When you try to push like that, you end up with two likely outcomes, one being shoddy craftsmanship, the next being injury to your employees, and we desire neither. So how are we tracking schedule on a project that size?
they have a schedule, they submit to us every month.
Gotcha.
And we review it. It's their schedule.
Sure.
So,
Sure.
it's pretty fast method.
But it's, okay. Coming up nicely though. And it's starting, it's definitely taking shape.
He's been there every week.
It is.
Well, I've been by there the last 2 Saturdays, and I haven't seen the brick masons working, so they're trying to catch up.
It's positive in that if there's somewhere they can work in there, somebody's working, so I don't think they're being, sometimes we just get all shucks from contractors with, could work, they could, so it's not that situation, but
Yep. Let's see.
behind schedule, so I don't like being behind schedule, and they don't either.
Oh, no. You guys are doing a great job. I said just really more for public knowledge. We
Yeah.
already knew, what we're doing around trying to keep that maintained, but no, y'all are doing a great job there, and some substantial completion going on Trent Lot Gym, huh? Good. I don't know if Mr. Bax saw on the consent agenda that policy where the new chairman has to have a dance off with the principal. But no, it's phenomenal job there. That place looks great, and I think it's going to serve that facility and parents and students well for a long time. It's been needed for a long time.
Now, what about the scuff or scratch on the gym floor there? Is it just something dug in, or what?
It's just a surface scratch. Looks like a wheel on a buffer. It's hung up. It didn't really break the surface. And the floor is still cured. So by the time they play on it, and then we do our first cleaning on it, we're thinking it's got to clean up. We're going to look at that during spring break when everybody's gone
Okay.
and everybody's off of it.
We did the punch list, and that showed up the next morning, and so,
Yeah.
so we added it to the punch list.
That's how it works.
While we're on that, Ms. Damon, did you get a chance to talk to Ms. Curry? Did she get in contact?
I have, I've talked to her a couple of times.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions or comments on the
I will
update?
mention the Pascagoula
Yeah.
roof color. I thought that went out in the Friday update. It may not have.
I don't believe I saw
We're talking
it.
about doing a dark bronze color. So if that didn't go out, we can certainly get that probably circulated this Friday. But we will be needing to select that pretty quickly.
Well, that's the same color you said as the ticket booths for the stadium and all.
Performing
Yeah.
Arts Center will be
Right.
that color. So
That's- It looks nice.
Yeah.
as long as y'all aren't
Like it to be consistent.
Yeah.
opposed to that.
No, I opposed it all.
Okay.
When we say we need it soon, when soon, like,
I'm expecting a submittal on that this week.
so,
I have 20 days to. And I don't know if there's any formal board action approved, that's just kind of courtesy.
that's what I was gonna say. Do you
I don't-
need
we
it
would
from
not
us? If
ask
so,
for board approval
we'll
for
get it
that.
for you right now.
We would not ask for that unless you
Okay.
guys just want to. We normally deal with staff on those kind of things.
Yep.
I know we talked about it last month, so
Mhm.
Just wanted to give you a picture of it.
I'm comfortable with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay, our president is back.
Spread.
Apologize for the delayed arrival, but city council asked me to come down and talk. Be reappointed. So are you through your construction update?
Yeah, we're through with it. You move over next item.
Oh, we can move on?
Yeah.
No.
But I
Put a
don't
pink roof on Pasco High School.
see that. I don't.
That garden was. It's what's on the ticket booth here, what will be on the
Can't tell my brother-in-law just fly over until you see the blue roof, can I?
No.
Have time to see the bronze roof.
Time to look for the pretty green football field.
There you go. There you go.
Just for general knowledge, we did the pre-construction conference with that contractor this afternoon.
Okay.
They obviously have not ordered the materials because we haven't given them the color, and that's all common. I wouldn't expect any on-site work to start for probably 5 or 6 weeks.
Okay.
They're going to start at the gym and probably will not start the rest of the building. The plan is to do the gym and kind of the music areas while we're in school. And probably the day after graduation, start working on classrooms and the rest of the area. So it's going to feel like, hey, nothing's going on.
Right.
And they're going to put a bunch of manpower and get it done over the summer. And so I feel good about that plan. And it's really going to work out best for the school district, I think.
So are we just gonna, like, strip and fur out over existing
That's right.
field and then overlay, huh?
That's exactly right.
Okay.
They got a high density foam that goes right on top. And this one goes right over there. So
It's called kind of a structural retrofit system is what that's called. But
it's going to make it.
what you described is that's right. So
Yep. Excellent.
Should have a little bit lower energy bill, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Okay, so that's the last one of those. You've been through the,
We've been through everything.
Everything up until there?
Next item, 6A.
we've been working through our policy book and the policies, taking it chunks at a time. We found out that you didn't do monthly financial reports.
Oh, sure. Well, let's say, sure
Okay.
that we did. I'm sorry.
Definitely can't let.
5B,
Sorry.
monthly financial reports. Thank you.
You want some questions?
Yeah, there's opportunity for questions here.
Yep. You know we're in good fiscal shape when she smiles and waits on the questions.
Any questions for Ms. Grant on financial reports? We're getting state money and we've got tax
These are the financials at December 2018. So if you look at the cash, it's as low as we're going to go. We picked up a large check in January, and we'll pick up a larger check in February, and we'll be back on our upswing. So this is as low as we'll get, which is still better than where we have been in the past at this time of the year.
Yes. It's substantially better than where we were this time last year.
Now this end of December is the critical issue. You know, the number that they take is our fund balance, and like to advertise happens at the end of June. But critical issues right here. If you'll take note of many of the cities are out on tax anticipation notes, borrowing against taxes to come. Okay, so with that, we're now down to 6A. Board policy review for the first third approximately, Ms. Romanek, of the J section of policies. It's the student issues, and there's just lots of them.
Yes.
Right.
So does anybody have anything to turn into
I didn't notice anything that really stuck out.
that we'd like to have discussion? You know, you can always have discussions with the superintendent.
I know we're working through the NCLB to ESA stuff, but other than that, the law doesn't give us much room to have an issue with this section.
No, it
So
really
it's an easy
doesn't.
one to go through.
And if we follow the MSBA policy manual, we'll find a lot of help there.
Yes.
So, okay. No comments on that? Finally, The next big issue is going to be an executive session, but we need to close the meeting to determine the validity of these items that's been proposed for executive session. So your motion to
So moved.
close the meeting.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Okay, let's see, there's two requests for exceptions to our board policy. And that's student assignment and recommendation for expulsion from all schools in Pascagoula school system, and 3 student matters and a legal matter that student matters bring up personal data, so we put them in executive session, and the legal matter, we discussed it in open session, would seriously impact our ability to handle that. So with that, we will adjourn for a few minutes.